Hello, and welcome to the Leaders in Supply Chain and Logistics podcast. I'm your host, Fei Yu, and I'm the Managing Director for Alcott Global. Our mission is to connect the supply chain ecosystem globally by bringing forward some of the most interesting leaders in the industry. Today, we're joined by Thomas Berden, Chief Operating Officer at VAT Group. VAT is one of those hidden champions, a Swiss company in the semiconductor industry. They are the world's leading supplier of high-end vacuum valves. In 2024, VAT reached net sales of 942 million Swiss francs. The company employs around 3,200 people globally, with a presence in 29 countries and manufacturing facilities in Switzerland, Malaysia, and Romania. Thomas leads VAT's global operations, holding full end-to-end responsibility across multiple locations and overseeing a team of over 1,900 people. With a background in mechanical engineering, economics, and a PhD in laser technology, built up in the US and Europe, but also in Japan, where he spent time as an R&D scientist at Mitsubishi Electric. Thomas has built a remarkable career in operational excellence. He has driven transformational change in the industry giants like Siemens, Bosch, Hilti, and SKF, gaining experience in supply chain and manufacturing strategy, lean transformation, and supply chain optimization. At VAT, Thomas has been instrumental in enhancing procurement excellence, industrial engineering, and global quality, reinforcing VAT's leadership in high-end vacuum solutions for the semiconductor and high-tech industries. Thomas, great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Fei. Great to be here.
Now, so I think that our audience will be very curious about VAT Group because we know VAT as tax, right? So who are you? And can you give us a quick snapshot of the company and its crucial role in the industry? Yeah, please.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks again, Fei, for having me and also representing VAT today. It's a big honor listening into your podcast. But coming now to VAT, VAT was founded almost 60 years ago privately. It was a family-run business that went public in 2016. So we're 9 years listed at the stock exchange, celebrating this year our 60th birthday. And we have been focusing from the early days on vacuum valves. The founder of the company invented valves in all kinds of dimensions. And in the late 80s, he then turned direction into the semiconductor industry, becoming a supplier, which made us great and which also boosted our top line growth over the last 45 years. Just last year, we generated a little bit under 1 billion Swiss francs and achieved an EBITDA margin of more than 31%. On a global level, we have 3,200 employees, with two main customer production sites in Switzerland, here in Haag at the headquarters in Malaysia. We have a newly built factory in Romania, which is an internal supplier. And we also have 8 service centers on a global level. And in total, we produce roughly 8,000 different, mostly fully customized products, including vacuum valves, advanced modules, motion components, and also over 2,500 standard products, all for the ultra-high vacuum applications as a supplier into the semiconductor industry.
Wow, that's super impressive. I still remember in our last meeting, so we actually within in the networking events on the round table, other people in other industries, they were worried about competition, right? You were like humming, like happy because you're in a very good market position. And we were so positively surprised how good VAT's market share is. And listen, guys, it's 75% market share in vacuum valves. for semiconductor production. That's super impressive. What has been the key to achieving and maintaining this leadership position?
Yeah, indeed. That is a very high market share. We increased that over the recent years, and we are proud of it. And that is on the one hand side an obligation not to become self-complacent, but also keeping up the right level of paranoia. What could competition do to regain market share? What we absolutely want to avoid. But looking back into the history of that company, we were family founded, and from the very, very early days, there's a few topics that were on top of mind. Yeah, the one is absolute customer focus. Yeah, we go the absolute extra mile for the customer, making sure that quality and fulfillment works every day, that we do not disappoint our customer. Yeah, then it's technology and innovation. We want not only to surprise, we want to over-exceed expectation. Yeah, when it comes to precision of the control of the vacuum environment which we are in, we would try to push the boundaries of the physics in our valves. Yeah, and at the end of the day, we also want to be a good counterpart for the customers and experience and know-how. Yeah, and we are well perceived on that level. And with that, we built up a very good customer relationship over the years, which we hardly ever disappoint. And we are perceived as a trusted partner to the industry for what we are doing. Yeah, and 70% or 75, 80% market share depends a little bit on what segment you're looking in. We try to be the best. Yeah, we don't want to be the cheapest, but we want to be the best so that the value what the customer is paying for is well recognized. And we have taken that market share by offering our customers a value-add service and allowing also customers to focus on their expertise and having us deliver plug-and-play solutions for what they need in their environment.
Yeah. You were talking about being the best, right? That in quality, high precision, and reliability. And I still remember you were talking about growth, meaning that growth you need to actually scale manufacturing, right? How do you balance that? How do you scale the manufacturing and keeping high precision and reliability, especially in an industry where even the smallest defect can be catastrophic?
Yeah, very, very good question. Well, first of all, our simple saying is staying ahead of the curve. Staying ahead of the curve means I do invest in capacities and capabilities ahead of the curve. So we always have some flex capabilities in a very dynamic environment. Yeah, when you look back in 2021, 22, we grew 25% per year. So we had to provide capacity and capabilities ahead of the time. So that means you have to plan on midterm numbers together with the outlook from the customer, making sure that you provide hardware, equipment, capabilities. And at the same time, making sure that you scale also the processes. You have the quality, which you have to assure. That means you have to provide processes, you have to provide the standards to make that happen at the different size. And this is why we have recently built our second factory in Malaysia, which is now up and running, providing us a capacity to double what we have today. We're making roughly 1 billion today. We are ready to deliver more than 2 billion with the capacity which we have installed. That is the hardware part. But what's also equally important is our flex model. We promised to the market that over the cycle of the semiconductor, which is quite aggressive with the ups and downs, that you always provide more than 30% EBITDA margin. That means our cost model has to be super flexible. And this is why we have an average temporary worker share of up to 25%. And some factories maybe a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but that gives us on the one hand side some flexibility to manage these volatile semi-industry swings. Then we have what we call best cost country sourcing. So we go where we believe from the overall TCO perspective is where we have the best costs, where we have the shortest lead times, and we find suppliers that fulfill our need. And our total cost structure in the company is roughly 2/3 of the costs are variable. And every time the semi cycle comes around, up or down, we have established what we call downside and upside protocols, and that makes sure that we stay in line what customer is expecting. And when it comes to these quality assurance, we have well-established structures and standards in place where we are making sure that we only deliver zero defect components to our customers. And that is well received. Otherwise, we would be in a different market position and customers would not appreciate what we have been doing for the last 60 years.
Where do you have the quality control? At headquarters or in each plant?
Well, we have I'm a big fan. I mean, you're asking me probably what is my philosophy. I'm a big fan of a decentralized organization and having only lean structures at the headquarters. We have the global quality position at headquarters here, but we have a decentralized quality organization in the factories, within the supply chain, focusing on supplier qualities that is overall in the countries or in the regions anchored, which I think is good. Yeah, but that also means that knowledge transfer and training and expertise transformation into the regions is key.
You also mentioned Malaysia, right? You have the second plant, build the second plant. I read that you produce in Switzerland and then Romania as well, in addition to Malaysia. What are the biggest challenges in managing such a global footprint while keeping lead time and costs under control?
Well, it is, first of all, making sure they have the capacities and capabilities. In Switzerland, the challenge is, of course, you have high factor costs, high cost, high people cost. Yeah, that means there's a high pressure on automation, on efficiency, implementing lean principles and making sure that provide low cost with super good quality and that we justify that we are producing here in Switzerland. And as long as you are very innovative in processes in combination with new products, you can generate a high margin. In Switzerland, we have the advantage that we have a very close proximity to our R&D center, to product management, within the business units. The same setup we are gradually building up in Malaysia to be close also to the customer needs. Malaysia was founded 10, 12 years ago, was a relatively small factory, has exponentially increased the growth rates. And in Malaysia, for example, it is a lot about hiring fast enough the people on the shop floor in the different functions. So it's a big challenge making sure in a very heated market environment. And we are sitting in Penang, which is a semiconductor cluster, making sure that we do get the right people, that we keep attrition low in a very heated market. And in Romania, we just recently concluded in our footprint strategy that Romania is the right place to invest, to quadruple the volume as an internal supplier, and to give Romania the purpose to supply mostly the European supply chain. Also because in that environment in Romania, we do find capabilities in the country that we have not found it in too many other areas. We are building competencies which we need in our products, what the customer is valuing at the end. And that's the topic I allocated in Romania. So the special topics are a little bit different in every site. The overarching scheme or the overarching headline is very similar.
Now we're talking about the supply chain topic, right? The semiconductor supply chains are notoriously complex. What makes VAT supply chain different from traditional manufacturing industries? You've been to other ones, right? You've been to the big ones, been to the traditional side. How do you compare the two?
Well, first of all, it's about speed. Yeah, and I think it's a super volatile environment, and that means that you have to react very fast. It's an industry where customers do not wait. When they place an order, they want to get delivered within the lead time. Yeah, so disappointment is not what you really can afford on the customer side.
So we then now actually in starting 2025, right? Chip industries has been going ups and downs, and I'm sure everybody is paying attention to that on the stock market. Given VAT's role in the chip industry, how do you balance the supply chain resilient with the need of innovation and speed and cost and all this stock changes from your client side?
Yeah, also a good question. Yeah, is it innovation or speed or that both? I don't think there's a trade-off between the two, innovation and speed. I think it's as always in life, it's finding the right balance. Yeah? And the innovation capabilities which we have in our genes, helps VAT to faster adapt to potential disruptions, to improve our processes on a day-to-day basis, and to stay competitive with new products and new technologies which we are inventing to really be on the front end of what the customer needs and to be the number one choice what he wants. And in my eyes, a good innovation strategy is increasing the resilience, allowing supply chains to become more flexible, adaptive, and also more progressively thinking. Yeah, that's the innovation side. On the speed side, or what we also call it the agility side, we have to react super fast to market cyclicalities, to customer demand, also on the product side when we are asked to customize products within a certain lead time. But overall, if there's disruptions coming, whether there's a tariff topic, a technology topic, or maybe when there's a super tanker stuck in the Suez Channel, which can cause an impact, or macroeconomical market changes. So being fast and responsive and having an organization that is mentally ready to react and not to wait until it's demanded from top down is key. That helps us for continuity, that reduces lead times, and at the end of the day meets the customer expectations. So at the end, it is about the right balance of both. Yeah, and knowing that, one last sentence, knowing our customers so well, we know our product roadmaps for years, also with the customers, and that helps us to plan ahead, and that gives us also good opportunity to balance the two of them.
Yeah, I see. So how would we continue this topic, right, about geopolitical tension and the supply chain disruption, and then now the new trade war? What is your plan, the plan of VAT strategy, and to keep in the curve? What does it influence your strategy?
Well, the overall strategy, it should not and it does not. Yeah, of course, strategy is always about options. Yeah, you have to look left and right. How can you adopt while you have a straight target in mind? But I think with our flexible model, I think we can handle that. And our development of the next generation of solutions, that node side progression in the industry, these are all drivers that don't look at short-term market developments, independent of politics. So there's technology that is driving that. Maybe a little bit sooner, maybe a little bit later. And when you look on the semi market, we cluster that maybe in two rough areas. Like in China, for example, they work on these mature nodes, and US and allies will work on that leading edge, and that means maybe two separate supply chain models that we need to manage and we need to look into. And with regards to manufacturing, we of course have to make up our mind. How do we design the supply chain, and is there a need for the next plant or factory somewhere else to support the next level of growth? And we constantly ask ourselves, is the footprint the right one? Do we have the right capabilities and capacities? And at the end of the day, it is the customer that drives that demand. But we are very close to the customer in interaction, and also the most recent decision on the footprint were very much closely aligned with the customer's need. Also in a communication or conversation when we're really making sure we fit the demand, and also with the new site in Malaysia that was at the time when it was decided, also aligned with our key global customers.
Super exciting business you're in.
Absolutely, yes. It's very thrilling. It's for me the first time being in semiconductor, and can only recommend, if you really want to be on a very high adrenaline level every day, you should join the semiconductor industry.
So let's talk about your leadership, because what I heard is actually it's a lot to do with leadership, right? How do you plan? How do you lead through different changes? You have a unique combination of engineering, economics, and laser technology expertise. How has this background shaped your leadership style?
Well, that education, that is the functional expertise on the one hand side, but I received that at different locations, different universities on a global level. And I think, first of all, that makes me more a generalist. And I always wanted to work somewhere at the interface between technology and economical questions. That is what I'm actually doing today. A good understanding here, and on the other side, also making sure that business decisions are taken properly. Yeah. It gave me a good view on what's happening on the global level. That helps me today to anticipate a little bit better how can supply chains work or even be disrupted. It gave me a curiosity, what is happening? And on the leadership, what I try to do also in my team or with my people is to bring a global view, the customer view, the outside-in view into an organization. And supply chain is not always on a day-to-day basis meeting face-to-face with the customer. Yeah, that's our sales branch or business unit. But you have to bring in the outside-in view and making sure that a supply chain organization also understands and absorbs the customer's need for being ready to go the extra mile on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So now then, as a leader, right, you have gained certain qualities, and then now you're evolving as a leader as well. And supply chain is becoming more and more complex that require a lot of understanding across sectors, and it's also very tech driven. What are the key skills you believe will be very essential for future supply chain operations leaders?
Well, in the supply chain, I think, first of all, you have to be ready to a super exciting environment. Yeah, with a high cyclicality going up and down. And that means you need to bring in some resilience. And what is so attractive is there is, and I always explain my people who sometimes complain a little bit, it's so stressful. I tell them, you know what? There's no disruptive scenario at the horizon. There's other industries which are more in trouble, like we are today. You don't know what's going to happen the next 5, 6, 10 years. There's a lot of transformation ongoing, and we are growing with the market. Investments are high. Yeah, and that means you have to understand the industry landscape a little bit on the semiconductor. Yeah, go into the studying trends, who are the key players, and really understand what is an Intel doing, what is an TSMC doing, NVIDIA, what is the AI having an impact on, what about memory chips, and also knowing a little bit what are the drivers in the market. And if you're more on the engineering side, it's probably good to get more or very good technical foundation. What are emerging technologies, packaging technologies, because things are becoming smaller and smaller. And it's quite thrilling to really understand what is happening here at the edge of what you think is physically or from the physics feasible or doable. Yeah. Then more on how look for practical experiences, go in the industry on internships, or maybe do some projects and research. Yeah. And maybe you visit some conferences. On the supply chain, I think it's important to really understand that it's all interlinked on a global level, and try to find some understanding for yourself how that interacts, with trade policies or with tariffs, and how the different countries interact with each other. So there's a lot you can do that makes it really, really attractive to work in such kind of an environment.
Yes, you mentioned that knowing the industry, knowing the technical is important. When you hire your team, your direct team, and then some junior people, what are the top quality in addition to the technical part? Like, what are the top quality you look for?
I think one of the qualities I look more into compared to my previous years is what is the resilience, because speed is of the essence. So it is sometimes quite stressful, when you have to take decisions. It's also being bold and being able to take decisions also under ambiguity. That comes often from the textbooks. And when I joined VAT, I thought, okay, I know what this means, but in this company, it is really decisive that you take decisions, do it fast, even with an 80-20 approach, then go for it. Because we don't we can't afford to lose time because industry is moving so fast. So that means people have to have these capabilities and not wait for too long. And that also means, and that is also part of our values, a good teamwork or collaboration attitude, an attitude where you really have the capabilities to network with your peers, with the different sites, in order to make sure you come to the best possible solution by leveraging the knowledge and the experience also from others. Yeah, and in combination, as I said before, I think a certain good healthy portion of resilience, I think, is important in this environment.
Yeah, we absolutely need more talents in the semiconductor sector. It's an exciting sector. Looking back at your career, what advice would you give to young professionals who want to build a successful career in this sector?
In that sector, I think be curious, be fast, and be ready to go the extra mile. It can be super rewarding. I mean, even if you don't stay with one company for the whole time, the entire supply chain in semiconductor offers so many opportunities. Yeah, be curious on the technology that is fast developing. It's fascinating when you look down on the different node size becoming smaller and smaller. 2 nanometer technology, for example. Have the curiosity, and also think about what an impact or what a difference the semiconductor makes in your day-to-day life, how much it makes it better, faster, more convenient, and that there's really a benefit for everyone, for society, for yourself. And I think that is something where I believe these people should think about when they really decide intentionally to join this semiconductor environment. When you join VAT, you have a very profitable, very solid, well-known company that is also always seeking for good talents.
Yeah, I think that I'm too late to start, but this is great advice for many young professionals. So I'm sure this advice is super helpful for them. Thank you for your time, Thomas. This has been fun.
Thank you, Fei. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Once again, this is Fei. Thanks for listening to the Leaders in Supply Chain and Logistics podcast. Enjoy the episode? Then visit alcottglobal.com for show notes and more. Don't forget to subscribe for updates and new episodes. If you're on iTunes, Spotify, or Amazon Music, a quick 5-star review helps us a lot. Plus, share this with anyone who'd love it. Follow us on LinkedIn for exclusive content. And if you have guest or topic ideas, drop us a message. Contact us if you're looking for top executives to transform your supply chain or logistics. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.